Hi, friends. Welcome to Build Your Foundations, our weekly dive into a topic regarding divorce, mediation, finance, or mental health. We want to thank you for coming to this mental health pause journey with us. So far, we have established that everyone has experienced some form of trauma. Last week, I shared with you my double lowercase t traumas of my immigration story, coupled with my childhood memory of no longer sharing the same room with my family once we immigrated. Each person's trauma is personal and unique to the individual. What causes our body and mind to respond in a certain way because it is unable to cope with the situation being presented is also unique. Today, I want to share a story about trauma with a capital T. As I was sitting before the computer trying to figure out what to write and who to reach out to share about capital T trauma such as um, molestation or sexual assault, rape, murder, the death of somebody close to you. Um, I reached out to several people that I know personally who have been through some capital T traumas, and it was clear that they were not ready to share their story. They were not ready to put out to the universe their trauma. That it was okay to be able to share within their closest circle, but it just wasn't time for the masses to know. So I was racking my brain and I started writing, and I had written something to the point of memories or traumas that we may have faced as an infant or a 6-year-old, as was my case, and the case of one of my friends who had endured a capital T trauma, or as a college student during spring break. The memory of me sitting with somebody in college after spring break flooded my mind. You see, during my senior year of college, I was a counselor and advocate for the Rape Crisis Center, as well as working at a transitional homeless shelter. My senior year of college, there was a lot on my plate. My father was dying of cancer, and I was working 3 separate jobs to try to pay for my own way, as my parents sort of had their hands full at that time. So somewhere between dealing with the trauma of my father's imminent passing, working with people who have been sexually assaulted and sitting with their trauma, working with homeless people who were enduring in their own present situation, I was basically on overload. What I didn't realize until I started writing about capital T trauma was all the memories that had flooded back of me as a 22-year-old in college, and how one of those jobs that I had was at a retail mom and pop location. And I was working side by side with the pop of the, the retail store. And it became clear to me that I was sexually assaulted by the pop. I didn't register it as assault because, let's be honest, as a 22-year-old, my frontal lobe wasn't developed enough to comprehend, and my brain took me to a place of protection. Again, there was so much going on that I was already carrying that I don't think that I knew how to process. And until the other day, as I sat before my computer to write, the memory wasn't clear. I couldn't name it. I couldn't give oxygen to the fact that I myself have experienced trauma with a capital T. Several months back, April 15th, actually, as I was rereading my journal, I had written that I'd seen a show called A Million Little Things on ABC, and the episode was of um, this high school young woman who wanted to get into a special music program and was getting special tutoring from this really well-known instructor, really well-respected instructor, and how he was working with her one-on-one. And in this episode, he was trying to get her to break out of her shell. And he asked her to bring a bathing suit and put it on and get on stage with her guitar and perform her song. And as she was putting on her bathing suit and as she exited the bathroom, she clearly looked uncomfortable. She clearly felt that something wasn't right. And me watching this show, all my triggers were going all over the place. And at the end of the episode, I was weeping. Now, for those of you guys who know me personally, I'm not much of a crier. And so, even for me in this moment, I had to ponder and pause why I was struggling, why this was affecting me in the manner that it did, because I can watch Law and Order SVU and it's never triggered me in the same manner. But for some reason, this episode did. So I spent some time just going through all my memories as a child, wondering, was I molested as a child? Did something happen to me? Really trying to figure out why my body was responding and why my gut was reacting in the manner that it did. I even talked it over with my girlfriend, who was the one who encouraged me to start my initial trauma journey. And I was like, I don't know why I responded this way to the show. I was like, I know I have no memory of ever being touched the wrong way by my dad or my uncles or anybody, any male figure or female figure in my life. But for some reason, this show was triggering me. And it became clear as I wrote that sentence about the college student on spring break, as my memories came back of the 22-year-old me and during that season of my life and what had happened. I was working for somebody. I was naive and pretty innocent, though I thought that I knew. And this person who was in power, who was my boss, took advantage of me and manipulated a situation. And I, in my mindset and mind frame, did not know that I had a voice to say, this is not right. I did not have the capacity to cope and sit with the situation for 25 years. For 25 years, it took my body and my mind, after being able to start diving into my own little t traumas, my mind and my body finally was saying that it's able to start processing and healing, that I had the tools to be able to work through. As I gave oxygen to my memory and to my experience, I now am at a place where I can meet the 22-year-old that I once was with kindness and compassion, care and love, without pouring shame, my own mental health pause. So, why do I share my personal stories, and why are we taking this pause, this mental health pause? And why are we encouraging you also to take a mental health pause with us? As mentioned earlier, my trauma story is unique to me, but everyone has a story unique only to you. And you are the only one who can create a space to pause and sit and reflect and heal. We are the only ones who can give oxygen to our stories and to work towards the healing, even to healing you are not yet aware of yet, just as my case with my capital T trauma. I was not yet aware. I am now. I hope that my stories will encourage you to pause and reflect and even take the brave steps towards healing. At Build Your Foundations, we want to continue to support you as best as we can if you choose to take the steps towards healing mentally, physically, and even spiritually. Please reach out to us if we may be able to provide any guidance or referrals. Next week, we will discuss community and self-care. We hope you will join us and be a part of the conversation. If you would like to speak to someone or get connected with a therapist who may be able to help guide you and open dialogue towards acknowledging any trauma you may have faced, please reach out to us. We want to create a safe and inviting space for all who would like to take the brave steps towards healing. Also, if you are considering separation or divorce or have any questions on what we talked about today, please reach out to us and schedule a free consultation. We would love to connect with you. Link and contact info are in the bio. Even if you're not in the state of Washington or in the Seattle area, please contact us. We work with colleagues across the United States who may be able to help you. And please share this post or tag someone if this speaks to you personally or if it may benefit someone else. And lastly, if there is a topic you would like to discuss on a future episode, please DM us. Thanks, and see you next week on Build Your Foundations.